A group of elderly zombies broke into the hospital. They pounced on the medical staff and patients, starting to bite. When the armed organization came in to check, they saw nothing but chaos everywhere. Zombies lying in ambush took the opportunity to launch a surprise attack. As the two factions battled, a helicopter carrying bombs took to the sky. The latest zombie disaster film, Zombie Generation, has been released. On a quiet road late at night, Soldier Jack was carrying out a mission alone. He was chatting with his teammates over the radio. While driving, the tire suddenly went flat. The vehicle overturned and skidded several meters. The gas mask canister in the car also leaked. Not far away, in a nursing home, an elderly couple was chatting on a bench, but they were suddenly choked by the toxic gas and couldn't stop coughing. They thought they were just getting sick and hurried back to their residence, but they began to experience various symptoms of discomfort. The old lady couldn't help but press the call button. The caregiver hurried over to confirm upon hearing the sound. As she got close, she was pulled down by the old lady. After the virus response team received news of the attack, they immediately rushed to the scene. 25 soldiers were equipped with non-lethal weapons. They entered the nursing home in pairs to search. Inside, there were bodies everywhere, and bloodstains all around. After some time working, they could confirm that 35 patients had been found, 15 were missing, and all 6 staff members had been killed. At this moment, the 15 missing elderly people had all been infected. They were wandering in the woods like zombies. In a nearby villa, a group of young people was having a party. McCann and Charlie were setting off fireworks indoors. The young people quickly retreated. McCann hurriedly escaped with a girl named Kelly. He had always had a crush on this girl, but she was Charlie's ex-girlfriend. Charlie had already returned home. The TV station is broadcasting tonight's car accident news. They packaged the toxic gas as a leak from poisonous paint. They warned nearby residents to stay away. A day passed. Charlie got up early to deliver newspapers. He was fully armed and wearing headphones, not noticing a bloodied infected person rummaging through a trash can not far away. At this time, London headquarters sent a female leader named Mary to the St. Coleman Army base to assist them in monitoring communications in the town and to block news of the virus outbreak. Meanwhile, Mary found that the gas truck came from the safe laboratory in Carverton. She advised Colonel Warren to quickly retrieve the infected individuals to prevent further spread. On the other side, McCann's mother was about to go for her shift at the Sunshine Nursing Home. She received a message of quarantine at the sanatorium in Danbury. Besides the Sunshine Nursing Home, there was another Golden Heights nursing home 5 kilometers away, which had not yet been affected by the virus, but it was only a matter of time before it fell. At this moment, the zombie old man rummaging through the trash was still wandering around. He bit an old lady who was going out to throw away a bottle. She pushed him onto the main road, and a car ran over the old man. The old lady hurried home, holding her injured hand. The other zombies hid in the nearby forest, and they had not lost their self-awareness. They knew to use the trees as cover to evade helicopter searches. The zombies quietly waited in an abandoned cabin at a school 5 kilometers from the leak site. Kelly and Charlie were worrying about the costs of summer classes. Their family situations were not looking good. Their parents probably couldn't even afford the tuition. Kelly dreams of getting into college and leaving this place, but she can't let go of Charlie, even though they have already broken up. But Kelly has always wanted to get back together. In this little group, only McCann is relatively well off. Unfortunately, he spends his days idly and doesn't do anything productive. He even bought a crossbow online. Luckily, his dad found out in time and confiscated it. Otherwise, he might have caused some serious trouble. McCann invited Charlie to the woods to relax. They even shared some psychedelic mushrooms and turned on their phones to record a video. A woman named Tina, who was walking her dog, entered the woods. They saw an injured old man lying on the ground. She was about to approach and ask him a few questions when the old man grabbed her teddy dog and started to bite it. The woman picked up a stick and began to hit the old man hard, but he was oblivious to her attacks, and he even started beating women. McCann quickly recorded this horrifying scene. Charlie, unable to watch any longer, rushed forward to help. He kicked the old man down a dirt slope, but Tina had already been bitten. She called the police in tears. Charlie and McCann took the chance to sneak away. Meanwhile, Kelly went to visit her grandmother. Her grandmother was the old lady who had been bitten while throwing out the trash. She was showing signs of mutation. When Kelly entered, she saw several boxes of raw meat. The table and cups were also stained with blood. She felt that something was wrong about her grandmother, so she called Charlie for help, but the phone signal was very poor. Charlie couldn't hear what Kelly was saying clearly, so he decided to go and check on her. McCann was worried about the goddess, and took out his crossbow. On the other side, Kelly's grandmother was gradually losing control. Her craving for raw meat drove her to attack her granddaughter. Kelly struggled to break free, and hid in the shadows. She escaped to the first floor. Unexpectedly, her grandmother jumped down from upstairs to grab her. In a critical moment, Charlie and McCann arrived. Charlie rushed over, and tackled the grandmother. He was about to ask Kelly what was going on, but the grandmother got up, and knocked Charlie down. She picked up a knife from the ground. McCann quickly shot an arrow, taking down the grandmother. Apart from Kelly's house, accidents were occurring everywhere. The emergency service phone lines collapsed. Due to the high volume of calls, ambulance services were temporarily shut down. Mary has ordered the closure of the entire town of Danbury. The incident of the biological weapon leak must not be exposed. She continued to release fake news, blurring the public's attention, with stories of foot and mouth disease and paint leaks. Meanwhile, at Kelly's place, the three young people were in a panic. After all, McCann had killed someone. They decided to hide the body first. Charlie and McCann wrapped the grandmother's body in curtains. They stole Tina's car from the neighbors, and transported the body to a remote location, to dispose of it. Meanwhile, Kelly stayed behind to contact her parents. She lied, claiming that her grandmother attacked her, and then ran away. But her father didn't believe that an old lady had the strength to attack someone. He was very worried about his mother, so he hurried into the forest to look for her. At this moment, Charlie and McCann were preparing to dispose of the body. They didn't even bring a shovel. They could only throw the body into an abandoned cabin in the woods. On the other side, that woman, Tina, started to go insane. After being taken to the hospital, 3 nurses couldn't subdue her. One of the nurses, a heavy-set aide, was bitten. Taking advantage of the chaos, Tina escaped from her room. Her disappearance quickly made the news. McCann recognized Tina. There had been too many strange incidents lately, and it was almost beyond his capacity to handle. A man was jogging on a forest path. He saw an elderly man lying on the ground, and rushed over to provide first aid. The old man bit off the man's nose. All the zombies swarmed, and devoured the kind-hearted people. These zombies even coordinated to hunt. If the infection continued to spread, the consequences would be very serious. After several days of searching, the helicopter hadn't found any of the missing residents. From the nursing home, they sent a small team to venture deeper into the forest. 2 soldiers soon discovered the nursing home zombies, and shot them from several meters away. The female soldier approached to check the old man's identification, to ensure he was on the list of missing persons. Unexpectedly, the old zombie suddenly lunged, and bit the male soldier. It turned out that a shot to the neck didn't kill him. The female soldier hurriedly shot the old man in the head. Blood splattered all over the male soldier's face. He quickly wiped the blood off his face with a tissue, and pleaded with the female soldier not to report this incident. He was afraid of being forcibly quarantined. Inside the Golden Heights nursing home, an elderly man and a young girl were checking the surveillance footage. They discovered the truck driven by Jack. The news had mentioned that this was a toxic paint leak incident, but the girl, Anna, thought it was not that simple. She wanted to investigate it personally. The next day, when Anna was going to school, she shared her thoughts with McCann. There was only one high school in town, so the young people mostly knew each other. At this moment, the teacher was reminding everyone to be cautious of the virus. If they saw a raging old person, they must contact the police immediately. Hearing this, Kelly thought of her grandmother. She didn't want to listen any longer, so she grabbed her backpack and left the school. Charlie was worried about Kelly. He immediately followed her. As he turned the corner, he was pulled aside by her. Kelly explained, "My dad is about to break down because of Grandma's disappearance. He goes into the woods to look for her every day after work." She hoped Charlie would take her to see her grandmother. Then they could decide whether to call the police. But when they found the abandoned cabin, Grandma was already gone. Just then, a faint voice came from the room. They walked over to take a look, and Grandma was actually lying on the sofa, sound asleep. Kelly was very happy, but Charlie couldn't find it funny. How could a normal person survive a shot to the heart? When the old lady woke up, she said she was having trouble breathing, and asked Charlie to pull the arrow out of her chest. Then she shouted that she was hungry, because they weren't sure if the old lady would attack again. The two decided to observe for a while. Meanwhile, McCann saw Charlie and Kelly leaving. He intended to chase after them, but was stopped by a teacher. McCann had no idea what those two were up to. He has been feeling uneasy all day. Anna noticed that something was wrong with him. She asked McCann what was going on. Although McCann didn't confess about Kelly's grandmother, but he showed Anna the video they filmed that day. The girl wasn't scared at all. She encouraged McCann to go look for Tina together. After all, the woman's information was already public online. McCann had no choice but to team up with Anna. The two quickly sneaked near Tina's house. They saw an elderly woman walking inside. Anna speculated that she must be Tina's mother. They crouched by the window to spy, and saw Tina attacking her mother. Anna broke the glass and led McCann cautiously upstairs. Tina was eating a human brain. Anna shouted and rushed over to stop her. She collided with the back of the deceased's head and was splattered with brain matter. In the next moment, Tina lunged at her to attack. Anna barely blocked her with a clothes hanger. McCann grabbed him up and rushed in to help. Anna got back up to look for something to help.
I'm burning!
Tina was curled up in the bathtub, trying to ease the burning sensation on her body. Anna thought they should call the police immediately, but McCann was afraid to face the police. He decided to tell Anna about Kelly's grandmother. The two then ran to the abandoned cabin in the woods to look for the body. They happened to bump into Charlie and Kelly. The two had just realized that grandma was missing.
We just saw a woman eat her own mother.
Yeah, that happened. There was a fight.
Anna informed the three partners that the truck was definitely not transporting toxic paint. It was most likely a military transport vehicle. They had leaked chemical weapons. Meanwhile, Kelly's parents were very anxious because they couldn't reach their daughter. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Just as Kelly's dad opened the door, Grandma lunged at him and bit half of his face off. Kelly's mom hurriedly pushed the old lady outside. Meanwhile, the soldier who had been bitten by a zombie was showing signs of infection. He shot his colleague and lunged at him to feast. The female soldier Billy quickly ran away. Other soldiers who heard the commotion quickly shot the zombie. A search team in the woods a few kilometers away was also ambushed by a horde of zombies. The first infected elderly couple were named Frank and Cecily. They had become the leaders of the nursing home zombies. They were preparing to find a shelter to reside in and gradually push toward the town. When Billy escapes to this area, she happened to stumble upon the zombies reveling in the woods. They were advancing toward the Golden Heights nursing home, and they also threw stones at the windows to lure the aide into the woods and bite her to death. Then they entered the nursing home. The female leader Cecily stepped forward to turn off the television and gave a speech to the elderly in Golden Heights. She did several flips in place to demonstrate how healthy and agile she was. As long as you are willing to join us, you too can receive these gifts. The old man Morgan, who had watched the surveillance with Anna that day, stepped forward to expose Cecily. These two were former lovers. Morgan told everyone that Cecily and her group had been infected with the virus and shouldn't be deceived by them. But health was too tempting for these dying elderly people. Morgan turned to leave. Cecily immediately ordered everyone to catch him. Morgan hurriedly hid upstairs and called the emergency response center. As the zombies were about to break in, Morgan quickly opened the window to escape, but he was still bitten. Kelly and her mother took her father to the hospital. A group of soldiers suddenly stormed in. They demanded the evacuation of all patients and to transfer them to a temporary military ward. The soldiers then began to move the patients. Kelly and her mother were unable to stop them. They grabbed Charlie's bike and followed the convoy. Fortunately, the temporary ward was not far away. Kelly wanted to stay by her father's side, but was stopped by soldiers outside the base. Soon after, the military finally agreed to let family members visit the patients. Her mother told Kelly to stay at home. She went to the temporary ward to take care of her husband. Charlie stayed behind to accompany Kelly and warned her to prepare herself mentally. Your father has likely been infected. Kelly sent Charlie away. The town quickly issued a curfew. Anna was a bit anxious as she couldn't reach Morgan. She called McCann to go to Golden Heights with her. She grew up in a shelter, and Morgan had taken care of her over the years. The relationship between the two was very deep. As they approached the nursing home, they found blood on the ground. Anna realized that something was wrong. She immediately went inside to search. Finally, she found Morgan in a broken wooden crate. Just then, the sound of an engine was heard outside. It must be the military contacted by the emergency services. These people were very afraid of the chemical weapon leak being exposed. So Morgan didn't plan to meet with the military. He hurriedly took Anna and hid. McCann went outside to deal with the military. His mother was the manager of the nursing home. Upon hearing the news, she quickly arrived on the scene. McCann's mother stated that without authorization, They couldn't search the nursing home at will, but the leading soldier said, "All the residents of the nursing home have escaped. This is an emergency mission. No one is to interfere, or we will implement arrests." McCann's mother quickly took her husband and son away. Morgan and Anna hid in the basement. They waited until the searching soldiers left before coming out. Morgan had been searching for the truck all this time. He confirmed that the truck came from the Defense Department lab in Carverton. The virus inside infected the elderly in the nursing home, making them strong, violent, and aggressive. It also allowed their bodies to regenerate, making them hard to kill. Additionally, based on Tina's burning sensation, the immune systems of the elderly were better suited to adapt to and accept this virus than those of younger people, so they didn't show any adverse reactions. Morgan rolled up his pant leg to reveal the bite mark. He didn't know how long it would be before he became infected. Decades ago, Morgan had stolen a few vials of serum from the Carverton lab, although hope was slim, but he planned to inject himself with a dose to try. McCann returned to the nursing home to take Anna home, to avoid missing the curfew. On their way back to the community, they saw the military controlling most of the residents. Among them were McCann's parents.
I must have broken curfew looking for me.
It's not just a curfew, Steph. It's a coup.
On the other side, after Charlie was sent back home, he saw Billy lying in his bedroom. It turned out they were siblings. Billy had left home to join the military a long time ago. A family reunion was supposed to be a happy occasion, but Billy saw her mother's ex-boyfriend Mike. This scumbag drank, did drugs, and was abusive. Her mother actually dared to get back together with him. Billy packed her things and planned to leave. Charlie chased after her to question his sister. "You always just walk away. Have you ever considered how I and our sister feel?" Billy didn't answer directly. She retorted, asking her brother if he knew about the accident. That happened in town 4 days ago. The toxic gas from that car was spreading all around. Charlie replied that Kelly's grandmother had already been infected, and that she had attacked her father last night. Billy decided to take Charlie and their sister away. She told him to go home first and pack their things. At the same time, the military had entered Charlie's house. They were searching everywhere for Billy's whereabouts.
If you see Billy, give me a call on this number. We just want to help.
Mike followed and asked, "Is there a reward for finding Billy?" It seemed that this Mike would cause trouble. Meanwhile, Kelly's grandmother found other zombie companions by scent. She exchanged glances with Frank. Cecily looked a bit unhappy upon seeing this. Frank didn't realize that his girlfriend was unhappy. He attacked a cyclist to share dinner with everyone, but Kelly's grandmother pointed out that the scent of a stranger was very different from that of a blood relative.
But when I bit into my son, I felt complete.
Kelly's grandmother felt that she was not sick at all, but instead experienced an unprecedented sense of freedom. Cecily felt sad seeing her surrounded by others. Meanwhile, among the young people, McCann discovered that his parents had been captured, so he immediately went to find Charlie to discuss. He learned that Billy had returned from the military. McCann thought that the military must know more information, so the four of them went into the forest to seek Billy's help. But Billy didn't know why the military was rounding up civilians. Maybe it was just part of maintaining order. Billy had come back to take her family away. She was unwilling to take risks to save others. In the end, Charlie decided to let Billy take their mother and sister first. He would help McCann rescue his parents, and then regroup with his family. The group entered the temporary base through the underground drainage near the soccer field. After Charlie found the imprisoned crowd, he ignited a gas barrel to create a distraction. McCann seized the opportunity to pry open the cage and free his parents. Kelly also found her family in the camp. However, her mother had already been bitten to death by her father. The situation was not looking good. Friends rushed over to drag Kelly away. They escaped back to the forest through the underground drainage. Unexpectedly, the soldiers followed closely behind. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Billy drove in to help. She took them away from the soldiers' pursuit, but as they hurriedly fled, Anna was unfortunately bitten by Kelly's father. It was only a matter of time before she would be infected and mutated. The next day, she felt hunger and began to exhibit aggressive behavior. Billy picked up a stick and knocked her out and was about to kill her. McCann hurriedly stepped in to pull Billy away. Fortunately, the zombie's recovery speed far exceeded that of a normal person. Anna's wound quickly healed. They bound her and went to find Morgan, because Anna said he had a way to slow the infection. Billy dropped them off at the nursing home's entrance and left. She planned to go home first, to pick up her sister and mother. The four of them entered the basement of the nursing home. This was Morgan's secret base. Unexpectedly, he had not mutated yet. This meant that the serum was indeed effective. Morgan hurriedly injected Anna with a dose, but this serum couldn't completely cure the virus. It only served to alleviate the symptoms. Moreover, young people deteriorated very quickly after infection. Anna feared that she would die in such a miserable way, so she summoned the courage to confess to McCann. She knew that he liked Kelly, and had buried this unrequited love in her heart, but with her life in danger, Anna didn't want to leave any regrets. After Billy returned home, she saw two unfamiliar men through the crack in the door. It turned out that her stepfather Mike had lost the goods while dealing drugs, so the dealers came to demand money. Billy sneaked in through the back door and pointed her gun at the drug dealers. She urged her mother to quickly get everyone in the car. Billy fired several shots and prepared to follow them. She was intercepted and captured by military personnel. Mike hurriedly fled. At the same time, Frank was influenced by Grandma Kelly and ran to his son's house and bit his entire family to death, eating them. Cecily couldn't accept such a change. They had no choice but to eat people after getting sick, but intentionally killing family members was against ethics. Kelly's grandmother clearly didn't agree with this viewpoint.
So what do we owe them? We begged them. Now it's their turn to...
After Kelly's grandmother finished speaking, she lunged at Cecily, ready to deal with this traitor. The two female zombies wrestled with each other, fighting from inside the house to outside. In the end, Kelly's grandmother threw Cecily off a cliff. She became the new leader of the group. At the same time, the serum in Anna's body was gradually losing its effectiveness. She couldn't help but go crazy. Morgan thought of a solution. He planned to cut open his belly and cut some spleen to feed Anna. Morgan believed his antibodies could help her suppress the virus. This method was quite ridiculous, but Anna's symptoms did indeed improve. At this time, the school sent a text message for everyone to gather. Morgan told them to return to class first. As long as they brought Anna back in 12 hours, they could inject her with the serum again. Mary unexpectedly received instructions to sign the authorization for bombing Danbury. Danbury High School was unaware of this. The teachers called all the students back for an exam. Unexpectedly, in the middle of the exam, the front door banged loudly. The proctor was about to crouch down to check. He had his arm broken by someone outside. Immediately after, a large wave of zombies crawled in through the roll-up door. The students screamed and ran in all directions. Charlie and McCann dragged the teacher to a dark corner. They saw Kelly's grandmother through the curtain. Just then, the teacher accidentally stuck out a leg. It was just spotted by the zombies outside. A chaotic battle broke out. McCann was knocked down by the door panel. Fortunately, Charlie noticed in time and pulled him out. The four of them escaped in chaos and locked the door of the examination room. At the same time, Cecily didn't die from the fall. She crawled back to seek Morgan's help. After Billy was captured by the military, they waited in the woods. She learned from a few soldiers that Mike had sold her out. It was clear that her mother also knew about this and had a big argument with Mike because of it. The little daughter was tired of their constant fighting. She ran away with the drug dealer brought by Mike. When her mother found out, she immediately went to look for her. Meanwhile, Billy waited for news but received none. The soldiers had no choice but to escort her back to the base. However, they were stopped by several people in protective gear, who confiscated their weapons. They also ordered the soldiers to return to the town and stand by, but they refused to disclose anything else. Billy seized the opportunity to instigate the soldiers. She took them to drive to the town museum, planning to search for some weapons for self-defense. It turned out to be a war museum. There were indeed many firearms and weapons inside. As they continued to search, they encountered an armed curator. He killed a soldier. Fortunately, Billy reacted first. She charged at the gun and tackled the curator. Billy quickly reloaded and shot him dead. After the group secured enough ammunition, they got in the car and left. McCann planned to go home for a while. He discovered that his home had been completely ransacked. His parents had also disappeared. Only bloodstains remained on the floor. At this time, Anna's condition was also getting worse. It seemed that the 12-hour limit had expired. The group was about to set off for the nursing home when they were unexpectedly attacked by zombies. Charlie hurriedly used the door panel to knock one out. The four of them escaped to the yard. McCann grabbed a pitchfork and smashed the fence. He led his friends into the forest. However, that zombie also chased after them. They kept running deep into the woods, but they had already fallen into Kelly's grandmother's ambush. McCann charged forward and pinned one to a tree. Unexpectedly, Frank emerged and grabbed McCann. Charlie quickly swung a stick and knocked him down. The four of them didn't dare to hesitate and fled quickly. Meanwhile, McCann's parents fled to a nearby friend's house. They were not attacked by zombies. However, they were indeed ransacked by a group of thugs. The neighborhood watch group spontaneously formed a militia. They could temporarily shelter the couple. Meanwhile, Billy's mother was nearby searching for her daughter. She happened to run into the neighborhood watch group. She immediately explained the situation and asked for help. When a few neighbors heard that a child was missing, they quickly offered to help search. At this time, McCann and his friends safely arrived at the nursing home. Morgan took the opportunity to introduce Cecily to everyone. Her level of zombification was very high. Morgan hoped to develop a new serum with Cecily's help. At this critical moment, McCann and Charlie actually had a falling out over Kelly. McCann stayed behind alone, venting his frustration. Unexpectedly, Kelly's grandmother took advantage of the situation and turned him into a zombie. Charlie didn't know his friend was bitten. On his way out, he saved his sister and quickly found his mother. As for the zombie group, they planned to assimilate more people to strengthen their organization and then attack the temporary military base. However, before they could act, the neighborhood watch group arrived at the base to protest. The leader David believed that the soldiers wouldn't fire on civilians, so he led everyone to force their way through the checkpoint. At first, the soldiers indeed only used smoke grenades to intimidate, but as it looked like the civilian group was about to break in, they opened fire to stop them. The protest scene immediately erupted into chaos. Zombies hiding in the bushes watched from a distance. Mary also saw the scene through the surveillance cameras. She thoughtfully stared at the demolition authorization form. At the same time, Billy saw the van her mother was in. She discovered there was a zombie hiding inside. Her mother and sister had vanished without a trace. She didn't react enough to be tackled by zombies. Billy quickly held it off and fired her gun. She mistakenly believed her family had met a terrible fate. The soldiers were afraid she would lose her mind. They hurriedly got Billy into the vehicle and left. They found a bar to rest in. Billy sneaked into the bathroom and rolled up her sleeves. It turned out, she had been bitten by a zombie during the earlier fight. She had been bitten by a zombie. Anna fell asleep after receiving the injection. Now, only Kelly was in the same room as Morgan. She didn't trust this old man, so she quietly searched Morgan's office and found several fake ID cards, as well as photos of Morgan in a lab coat in the laboratory. Could it be that he was a researcher at Carverton? Is that why he knew so much about the virus? Kelly took the evidence and confronted Morgan in the basement. At this point, Anna had already regained consciousness. She wanted to defend Morgan for a moment, but it turned out that Morgan had indeed worked at the Carverton laboratory. He could even be considered the creator of the gas. Although everyone was angry about Morgan's secrecy, but he had already developed a new serum. Morgan immediately injected Anna with it. The group planned to go to the military base to inform them of the current situation, but Mary was about to reach her limit. The colonel bypassed her and ordered the thermobaric bomb to be readied. He aimed to blow up the entire town. Mary desperately tried to stop the colonel, but was shot dead by him. At this point, the streets were in chaos. The neighborhood watch group was confronting the military. Billy's group was also protesting in the streets. Zombies lurking in the shadows were continuously assimilating humans. Various factions were mixed up in the fight, and the town was on the brink of collapse and disorder. At this moment, the colonel's voice came over the radio. He ordered all military personnel to withdraw from Danbury. This was undoubtedly a precursor to the explosion. Morgan and his group found McCann on the way. Anna held up a vaccine and signaled for everyone to go ahead. She wanted to stay behind to inject McCann. Cecily was also preparing to find Frank to see if she could persuade the zombies to accept treatment. The remaining two quickly regrouped with Charlie. They followed the survivors to a nearby medical station. Then they announced that they had the vaccine. Everyone had to work together to distribute the vaccine. They needed to find a reliable place to mass produce it. However, everyone, including Billy, didn't believe the vaccine was effective. They were even prepared to execute Morgan on the spot, because he was the one who created the virus. At this point, Billy had completely lost her sanity. Charlie couldn't stop his sister at all, nor could he stop the crazed crowd. They gathered on the grass and pulled out a large number of criminal files they had gathered from the police station. They were prepared to find all the criminals and execute them. The first person Billy wanted to punish was Mike. Surprisingly, her mother defended this man. Even Charlie urged Billy to stop. Even if they were wrong, it should be handled by the law. We can't just kill people indiscriminately. Billy finally confessed the real reason why she hated Mike. She went out to join the army, because she was raped by drunk Mike. Billy didn't know how to stay in that house anymore, so she left silently to join the army. Everyone was extremely angry upon hearing this. They dragged Mike to the execution site. At this critical moment, Kelly drove up and crashed into the scene. She picked up Morgan and Charlie, and quickly left. Mike also took the opportunity to escape amid the chaos. While everything was in disarray, a horde of zombies attacked the medical station. They frantically bit people, and turned them into more zombies. They prepared to head toward the town hall. Clearly, Cecily had failed to persuade Frank to stop. Moreover, Anna accidentally shattered the vaccine. It was too late to go back and ask Morgan for a new one. She had no choice but to cut open her abdomen and feed her spleen to McCann. Anna accidentally mentioned that his parents were not dead yet. Upon hearing this, McCann actually left Anna behind to look for his parents. Unfortunately, McCann's father was shot during the riot and didn't receive timely treatment.
I need to infect you with this disease in order to save you.
What are you talking about?
By the time Anna arrived, clutching her wound, the sound of helicopters was already roaring in the sky. This was a signal for the bomb to be dropped. Kelly's group also heard the same sound. They stormed into the St. Coleman Army base, informing the colonel that Morgan had developed a vaccine. They urged him to immediately halt the explosion plan, but the colonel replied that he was powerless to stop it. Seconds later, a massive explosion echoed. As the second bomb was about to detonate, the head of Carverton suddenly arrived. They stunned the colonel and took Morgan away and suspended the explosion plan.
You're not some government person, are you?
I represent certain interests in the country, and they want to thank you.
The Carverton laboratory promised that as long as everyone kept the virus matter confidential, they could meet everyone's demands and would properly accommodate the remaining survivors. Everyone ultimately accepted the head's conditions. Life gradually returned to normal. The explosion was also labeled as a natural gas accident and slowly faded from the public's view. Morgan was recalled to the laboratory to continue researching the vaccine. Anna came over to talk to him. She expressed that she still couldn't understand whether the gas had truly leaked accidentally or if someone had done it on purpose.
Well, whoever it was had in-depth knowledge of the government's bioweapons programs. Probably a disgruntled ex-employee.
Actually, this passage hints that Morgan is the one responsible for the gas leak. When he was researching the virus back then, his wife and daughter were persecuted by the government. In order to take revenge on those in power, Morgan was willing to sacrifice the entire town. He intentionally caused this leak incident, and then came forward to develop vaccines as a savior. Anna set down the telescope that Morgan had once given her. She had no evidence, and wouldn't report Morgan, but their friendship could only end here. The film concludes at this point, with numerous subplots and chaotic logic. Many plot points don't hold up under close scrutiny. The idea of eating spleens raw to suppress the virus is truly hard to explain. The final ending is incredibly rushed. However, as a low-budget series, the story's presentation is quite engaging. The amount of zombie blood is also relatively high, making it suitable for mindless viewing to pass the time. If you enjoy my channel, please click subscribe.